Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make industrial techno like Tommy 47 and I Hate Models harder stuff. As usual, you can get the project file and samples, MIDI and presets, and all that kind of stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Yeah, let's get started. So, this is what we heard in the intro. We're at 139 BPM, a little bit faster than usual techno, sort of like more intense, as you can hear because of that. And the first sound I have here is the kick, which sounds like this. So basically, what's going on here for the kick in this track is we have this kick, which is just playing constant quarter notes. This is just a kick sample that I made. I'll show you the original. And then we have this thing underneath it, which is the same kick, it's just being distorted. So then you can hear that's kind of like the bass line. So yeah, this is the first one. Like I said, it's just playing straight quarter notes. You can see I've got the kick has a bit of a pitch envelope on it. So you can see, yeah, that's there. That's just giving it a little bit more attack at the start of the sound. Here's without it. And then with it, see, you can hear just giving it that little bit of like that attack right at the start of the sound. And then I just have that going into a saturator. Here's without that. And with it, you can hear it just beefs the kick up a little bit. And that is it for the main kick. The next thing we have here is this bass kick layer, which sounds like this. So like I said, this is the same sample as the kick I just showed you. I've just got it playing like this thing where it's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's a good way to make these kind of basses for industrial techno. Something I find with industrial techno is the sound design. It's like distorted sounds, but it's more about taking kind of like a sound like this, like a kick or like a tom or like some kind of like more, I guess, real sound, quote unquote, and then distorting it and then like using that as the basis as opposed to say like, you know, using like a sine wave or something like that. So it's kind of the idea with this one. So you can see with this, yeah, we have a saturator and I have an amp here. Here's with nothing. And then with the saturator you can hear. And then with the amp. So basically the saturator just takes it, gives it that initial distortion, but then the amp is what really takes it over the edge there and makes it sound even less like a kick and more like a bass. I have those two kicks in a group together. This is kind of like, you know, a lot of times if you were doing, if you're doing a rumble kick, you know, you would want to put some processing after the rumble. If you have like a kick and a bass line as two separate layers, a lot of times putting them in a group together and processing them together is a good thing. It's just a good way to kind of take two sounds like this that are similar and you do want to sound sort of cohesive and not get in each other's way and kind of just push them together a bit. So here's with nothing. And then with the effects. So the first thing we have here is the drum bass. You can see it's set like this. This is just kind of gluing everything together a little bit. You know, saturation like this. It's basically what it does. Just helps to like push things together and kind of glue them together a bit more sonically. After that, we have this EQ8. Here's without it. And with it, so you can hear with this one, we are just cutting out some muddy stuff around the low mid-range, like at 278 hertz. And then I've got this low-end boost and this high-end boost. So these are just kind of focusing in on the ranges we want a little bit more. And that is it for the kick group processing. The next thing that we have here is this little whoop, which sounds like this. So the way this is made, it's pretty simple. What it is you can see it's just playing these notes on the 4 of each bar. And what we've got here is we have a little bit of white noise, and then that's going into a bandpass filter. And so what's happening is the bandpass filter has a ton of resonance, and then that's going into this distortion here. And that's what's creating the tone. And then to give it that like, where it's kind of like going into the sound, you can see this envelope here. I just have that going like up, like it's going like that. If we turn off the envelope, it just stays in one place. So yeah, and then the other thing that's happening there is you can see I have the filter being automated. So every other time basically it's playing a different pitch, you know, just a nice way to kind of make it more interesting. Basically the filter cutoff is where the pitch is with this kind of sound. Like when you have this super high resonance, this is what creates the actual pitch. So yeah, we're just kind of automating that. And I like how it's not like perfectly with the keyboard, like if you were trying to play in the notes just like on the keys. So after the operator here, I have an amp, like I said. That's what's doing the distortion. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear definitely a big difference. And then after that, we just have an echo, which is just doing dotted eighth notes, just gives it some space. And that is it for the whoop. Next sound that we have here is the clap, which sounds like this. So this one's pretty simple. You can see I actually don't have any processing on it. But this one is just more about like the type of sound. Like you don't want to just get like your usual kind of smaller, sort of more thin sounding clap for this style. With this style, you really need something hard hitting that's just gonna, you know, punch through the whole mix like this. Like I've noticed, and this is especially with like I Hate Models, more industrial tracks as well. There's something about that like doom, doom, doom. Just super hard hitting, just like quarter note rhythm that really works well and really resonates with the style. And so the way you do this is by having, you know, like a huge clap like that. It's louder than the hi-hats. You know, usually like with house music or something like that, you would want your hi-hats to be a little bit louder than the clap. But in this case, you definitely want a clap, like I said, that's just going to hit really hard and punch through the whole mix like this. So that is the clap. Next thing that we have here are these hi-hats, which sound like this. Basically, we just have this one, which is playing 16 notes. And then this one, which is playing on the upbeats, and it's more of like an open hi-hat sort of sound. And then I have those in a group together. And so you can see we got a bit of group processing on there. This is really similar to with the kick and the bass, you know, just kind of putting them in the group, processing them together, and making them kind of more cohesive and more together. Here's with nothing on the group. And then with the processing, so you can hear it makes a big difference for bringing it out. The first thing we have here is this reverb. This, you could hear the difference there when I turn it on and off. I'm not going to do that again. But, yeah, this is just adding a bit more space to the hi-hats. I find it helps to put them in the same space as well. Like, with percussion, a lot of times it can be hard to find sounds that sort of fit together or sound like they're from the same world. And a really good way to solve this is putting some reverb on these hi-hats like this, because again, it just kind of like puts them in the same space. You're hearing that same exact amount of reverb when you hear the 16th note hi-hat as you are when you're hearing the upbeat hi-hats. So yeah, I just find that really helps to put everything together. After that, we have the drum bus. This you could hear. I'll turn this off. And then on again, you can hear this really helps to beef these hi-hats up a bit and make them a bit fatter in the mix. And just a bit stronger sounding in general. And the last thing we have on here is just a high-pass filter, just cutting out some lawn. Simple stuff, but just makes room for the kick and stuff like that. And that is it for the hi-hats. The next sound that we have here is this little noise effects thing, which sounds like this. So this is just playing like that. And yeah, you can see what this is it is actually just some white noise inside of operator. You can see I had that going into a bandpass filter. So I'll show you what that sounds like with no effects on it. So yeah, very similar to that whoop sound where it was just some white noise going into a bandpass. This one, yeah, very simple. And then what's happening here is this one is also being distorted just like that was. So we have an overdrive. You can hear what that does. And then we also have an erosion. So that's what makes it sound more like effects. It's a really good way to, you know, not just have it be like some distorted bandpass white noise like we have up top already, but you can really get an interesting texture because with the erosion, you can, as you can hear, you can literally move it around and like the whole thing and get so many different textures out of it. Even just automating it through like one song, like it's just a good way to take a sound like this and give it more ability to work with the sound and make it interesting and not just like be stuck with like, okay, this is what a bandpass filtered white noise going into a distortion is going to sound like. So then I also have an echo on there. It's just doing dotted eighth notes, just giving it a bit of space. And then we also have an auto filter on there at the end, just cutting out some lawn. As you can imagine, with a sound like this, sometimes that lawn can be a problem. And that is it for the noise effects. The last thing that we have here is this little tom, which sounds like this. So this is kind of like what I was saying before. Basically, this is just a tom sample. There's the sample that we just taken and distorted a tom, as you can hear, and just turn it into like this cool kind of like textured industrial sound. So again, this is a technique that you want to use to make these kinds of like cool industrial percussions. It's just take something like this that is like a more real, organic kind of live sound, and yeah, just try distorting that into something as opposed to, like I said, like, I mean, making sounds with synths works really well as well, but this is just, like, you get a very particular type of feel when you do it this way. So, what this one is it's just a tom. Once again, we got it going into the saturation. The key here is the bass frequency. If I turn that off, you can hear it's just distorted. That's what really blows it out and gives it that like crunch and that crispiness. And then after that, we just have an auto filter, which is cutting out the line. And yeah, that is it for the tom. It's pretty simple. And that is also going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Once again, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check that because it's already available. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.